Oh my goodness, we're back for another edition of Getting Back to the Basics for our schools and ourselves. And I am delighted to have this smiling guest with me today. Her energy is contagious. So, readers and listeners, beware. You might get a little bit of the Kelly energy coming your way. Look at that smile. Kelly, welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
I am great. You're joining us all the way from the great North Carolina today. So, Kelly, take a moment and just introduce yourself to our friends that are out there listening today.
Okay, sure. Listen, I am Kelly Withrow. This is my 26th year in education. I jumped into education in 2000 as a fourth grade teacher. I taught fourth grade for about 15 years. And then I decided I'd jump into administration. So I was an assistant principal for 2 years. And then I am just completing my ninth year as a principal in Lincoln County at Battleground Elementary.
Wow. So, teacher at heart, right? Even when you move into principalship, you never forget the trials and tribulations of a classroom teacher.
That's
It
right.
stays with
I
you.
joke with my staff. I said I probably have more teacher in me than I do administrator. So I said when I forget what it's like to be in the classroom, I probably need to escort myself to the door. So
That's
yes.
right. I don't know about you, Kelly, but if I was having a really hard day in the admin world, I would
Oh,
just go down to some of my
mm.
favorite classrooms and just get back with the kids, spend a few minutes with them, get back to that why we're here kind of thing.
Remember my why. You're
That's
exactly
right.
right.
That's right. Well, we are delighted to have you join us today on the podcast, and we're featuring the chapter Small Wins Long miles because progress can be slow and it can be quiet. And it's not always what we expect when we set out to change the world, right?
Right.
And so we chose you for this chapter because we feel like you truly embrace this isn't your first rodeo as far as it's not your first school of being in admin, right? And so you have this understanding that you have to start with your mindset. Can't compare your new school to your old school, right? Even though you're in the same district,
Right.
different staff, different students. So you start with your mindset. And we watched you focus on what you could control. What can I do was your mindset. And as you started making small adjustments, you didn't go in and throw the baby out with the bathwater. You started with these small adjustments that would create some fast wins for you. And you started to celebrate those. And I have to say, you might be the queen of celebration, like straighten up your crown there because you do love a good celebration.
I do. I do.
You need to follow this school on social media because if a day goes by where they're not celebrating, something's wrong.
That's right. That's right.
That's
We
right.
have to.
That's right. So small wins grow into bigger wins, and that's where you get the longer miles. So take a moment, if you would, and maybe walk us through your approach. And not only walk us through your approach, but tell us like real world. You even asked, hey, you want me to be honest? Yes, we want you to be honest. When did you get overwhelmed? When did you get stuck? But really, how did you determine where to start?
Okay, sure. Well, listen, let me give you a little background about Battleground Elementary. It has been a low performing school for several years. In North Carolina, we get a school performance grade. And so this school had been an F for, I think, 4 consecutive years before I took over in August of 2023. And so when my superintendent put me at this school, he said, Kelly, it's kind of like a Hail Mary. I want you to be creative. I want you to think outside of the box. Like we are just going to just give you the autonomy to try new things and see what will happen. So that was an absolute blessing. Um,
I, yes, and
so,
it's their opportunity,
yes,
right?
that's
A lot
exactly
of
right.
times they want you to create change, but they want to put a confinement on you. So
That's
wow,
right.
that
Yes,
speaks volumes.
yes. So basically, the summer before, I interviewed a lot of my teacher assistants, my cafeteria workers, my custodians, just to kind of get a feel of what the need was here at the school. Kind of like think about some of that low hanging fruit that I could come in and just nip real quick to make quick, sudden changes and have a little bit of success there from the beginning. So what I did, I listened, I watched, and I'll tell you, the summer before I took over, before all the staff came back in, that summer was challenging. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, Battleground's always been low performing. Nobody's going to be able to change it. You can't change it. Those kids can't learn. Those teachers are just going through the motions." And what I liked is the more people said that, it can't be done, it can't be done, it can't be done, it fueled my fire. So I was like,
Right.
okay, like I thought I'm going to live and breathe in blood, sweat, and tears until we get this. And so that's what I did. And like you and I had talked about before, Dana, there were some drives like in the summer as I was planning and getting things in place. Like I would get in that car, roll down the windows, and tears would be coming down as I was driving up the road, thinking maybe it's not possible. There was that little bit of self doubt that I thought, am I really able to lead this show? Am I able to lead this boat in the right direction and have everybody have the same shared vision? So there was a lot of self doubt there. But as we started in August of 2023, we got together, we looked at the data, we looked at our needs assessment, where we were and where we wanted to be. And I'll tell you, I'll share this little piece because this is kind of fun. At our opening staff meeting in 2023, I like a good theme, as you and Mary
Yes, you
Margaret do.
do. Yeah.
And so we
Spirit.
that's right. That's right. So we are Battleground Elementary. So our opening staff meeting was like a battlefield. So it was all camouflage, obstacle courses. We had camo t-shirts. And on the back of our camo t-shirt, we had Battleground Elementary on the front. But on the back, we had just a little phrase that said, they are never going to see this coming. And so it had a hidden message to us because
Mhm.
CSEE, but we were looking for the letter C. We were hoping that we would jump from an F to a C that first year. And we did. So that
Yes,
was like,
yeah.
that was just huge. Like I have that shirt hanging up here in my office because it's just a reminder on those tough days, like, look how far we've come. Like, let's continue to celebrate, everything that we've accomplished, in less than 2 years. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
It is exciting. I know the listeners are just feeling the energy buzzing through. So you're absolutely right. But you kept it real because you have to, how do you set a vision when you don't know where you are? And I share a similar heartache story, talking about tears. And I can remember my first principalship, and I was just leaving a very sweet small town school, and they're like, "Why do you want to go there?"
Mm.
And then the first time I went there and I did a tour of the building, and I got back in my car and I cried all the way back to school. And I was like, what have I done? What am
Yeah.
I going to do? That school is filthy. It needs cleaning up. The dust bunnies were bigger than rabbits. I mean, it was just, and I thought, okay, Dana, you got put there for a reason. You
That's
know,
right. Just
what is
do
that
it.
going to be? But the tears were real.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was self-doubt yet. It was more of a overwhelm. There's more work to be done than I
Right.
realized there was work to be done. But have no fear, Kelly. I too showed up on my first day of work in overalls and my rain boots and my pressure washer.
Yep.
And the custodian, I'd only met him one time, and he said, "Well, I just pressure washed the sidewalk last month." I'm like, "Oh no, this pressure washer isn't for those sidewalks. It's for these floors and these walls in this building." He's like, "You can't pressure wash inside." I said, "Sure we can.
Yep. You can. Yeah.
We
Listen,
gotta
I
get
can
all
relate to
this
that as
out of here."
well.
Yeah.
Listen, my family came down from Pennsylvania to visit me for a week right after I had taken on the job. And I said, guys, listen, bring old clothes. I had them duct taping walls off and painting.
Uh-huh.
They were
Mhm.
pressure washing the sidewalk and opening boxes and cleaning out closets. It was definitely a family effort, but you're right. It did seem overwhelming.
It did. So you spoke to this without using these words, though. What it took for those small wins was the right mindset and a skill set and a tool set. You knew to look at your data. You knew to have the vision that you needed for your school, and then you started saying, "What can we do?" And so that is not just gotten you to a C, has it, Kelly?
It's not. So we got some good news last year. We are now a B.
So from a failing school to a C school to a B school in two
That's right.
years, that is nothing to shake a stick at, using
Right.
our little camp metaphor. But we have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you and your team and your staff. You bring energy, you bring life, you bring laughter to the events, even when you're creating like major memories, like memories that involve lots of water and accidents. I won't call you out, but
I
if
was
you
going to say, go ahead and tell the viewers.
I wasn't calling you out, but if you could share with the viewers and the listeners, what did Camp Explore offer you to kind of assist in the things that you were doing to get results?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, our big thing when we took over is high expectations, kind of teaching with that sense of urgency, having that rigor in the classroom, teaching to the standards, using the unpacking documents to really hone in on what needed to be taught. And I'll tell you, Camp Explore has done wonders for our school. We've talked about academic discourse and all the strategies and the new ideas that the teachers have implemented into their classroom has just it has been a blessing, and it's just been so fun to watch it kind of blossom within the classrooms. The kids are engaged, and when I say engaged, it's not two or three engaged and we've got 15 sitting back. It's 100% engagement. So
That's right. That is our magic number.
that's right,
It's not
100%.
100%, it's a fail.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely. So whether it's throwing paper and playing basketball, whether it's doing hop to it, whether it's looking in Easter eggs to solve problems. I mean, all the little ideas that our teachers have implemented thanks to Camp Explore has just it's been unreal. And I'll tell you, that's the kids are excited to learn. And your kids have to be excited and want to learn in order for results to happen. And so we just went back to, hey, every kid can learn. I don't care what your academic ability is, but you've got to figure out what makes that kid tick and implement the right idea in order for them to learn.
That's right. And so, as teachers, we need to have those tools in our toolbox
Right.
because all learners are different, right?
Right.
And so, maybe this isn't your favorite activity, but your favorite activity is coming up. But if we do the same thing in the same way, we're going to get those same results. And what we also know is until you get your teachers excited, they're not going to get the kiddos excited.
That's
Uh,
exactly.
that right there, right? So, well, thank you for giving Camp Explorer part of the credit or
Yes.
a little bit of the credit that's gotten you some of those results. What do you think? Because, 26 years, you've been to PD as a teacher, you've been to PD as an administrator, you've given PD and you've done PD. What would you tell people is different about this professional development opportunity?
Listen, I'm going to start with relationships. I'll be honest. When I attended Camp Explore with my admin team and then with my teachers, like it brought it back to the relationship piece because honestly, everything starts with relationships. Teacher to student, principal to staff. And that camp was just great because I'll tell you, there was a lot of us that shed tears at that camp, like happy tears, where you really came back to the basics and really got to know each other even more. That you think, oh, I talk to you every day, I know everything about you, but when you sit down in a little circle and you're having to look somebody in the eyes and really tell them what they're great at, and I appreciate you because like that was a tear jerking moment, but a moment that I will always remember. There were several teachers that couldn't even get words out of their mouth because they couldn't say thank you enough to their peers. So that, and I'll also say just the kind of coming back to the basics of teaching. Camp Explore has given my staff just ideas, and it's not stuff that it costs you an arm and a leg. You know what I'm saying? Supplies and stuff. It's just ideas. That are just simple to put into play, and like it's something that like if you learn it today you could implement it into your classroom tomorrow. And that has been something my teachers have appreciated because as an educator we don't have a lot of free time, and so that has been a nice piece of it.
I was getting goosies as you were talking because I remember the round round robin circle that
Yes.
you're talking about. And I remember, there's a room of 50 people and your team still needed a little bit more time,
We
right?
did.
Like,
We did.
okay, we're going to call a recess break. Everybody outside. We want to give them a few more
As
minutes.
we're wiping tears. Yes.
That's right. We didn't want to shortchange the
Right.
conversation. And
Mhm.
in addition to that, you had a person on your team. Y'all, your team, like you said, you knew each other, you got along beautifully, but to hear what someone didn't feel as strongly about, is a strength of theirs to give affirmation, but to also kind of say, this is where I would like to see myself grow so that you can actually step up and help each other grow. But you had a person on your team that was very reserved and didn't always share. And I think that that person surprised himself with their sharing, but I think that was what allowed y'all to come together in a
Yeah.
way you had not been able to do. Like that
Kind of
was,
like a turning point. And you're right. And another thing, when we took over and established this new team, we had to get out of the mindset that these are just my 25 kids or my 23 kids. And we had to look at it as a whole school approach. Like, listen, these are all our 450 kids. And if we're going to make a difference, like everybody has to have buy-in. Everybody has to have the same vision. So that was great. It kind of came to life there.
that. I love that. I love that. Well, we can't, I don't want to wrap up without doing what you do best. You celebrate the best ever. And you talked and celebrated about your professional wins as a school from a failing to a C-rated school to a B-rated school. But I really want our listeners to know there is a personal win up in the house. And I want to take a moment and tell you how proud I am that you were named one of North Carolina's Principals of the Year for 2025. And what a glorious honor, but what a well-deserving honor. So we celebrate you, Kelly Withrow.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
I love that. Give some departing words of advice. What would you tell an administrator that about not giving in to some of their fears? Because we kind of think sometimes as the administrator we have to be the fearless one. We have to be the leader of the pack, and we can't show our self-reserved or our fears or even share our doubts. But what would you say to that administrator that maybe is being crippled by their fear of possibilities?
Mhm. Listen, I've always said that I am probably not the smartest one in my building. Yes, I have the title principal, but I'll tell you what, each staff member has something big that they can bring to the table. And I think that's what we've done well here. I've kind of played to everyone's strength. If somebody's good at technology, you take on that role. If somebody's good at making things, you do that. And so it's been kind of a collaborative effort, and also kind of making believers out of them. When I first came on, they're like, Kelly, I don't know if it can be done. I've been here for 12 years. I've been here for 15 years. It's always been like this. So it's one of those things like, just don't quit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to run into road bumps and you're going to run into speed bumps and obstacles and challenges. But listen, together as a team, the team that you have formed is going to make it. I promise you, it's going to make it. Yes, there may be some tears and some just just pulling out your hair, but I promise you, it can be done. And some days I have to just sit and be like, okay, listen, I'm stumped. I don't know which direction to go, but I have to think like, look how far we've come in just 2 years from an F to a B. That is amazing. So I would just say, just don't quit. Keep going. Depend on each other. Empower others to do what they're good at. And it's okay to say, listen, I don't know, and work on things together. I'll find out the answer together, or let's research it together. But it's definitely a collaborative effort in order to make the success that we have.
I love your solution, collaboration, right? You don't need to go
Absolutely.
forge this alone.
Yeah.
Um, and then if you have those people with those strengths, let go of the fear, let
Yeah.
go of it.
That's right.
And I remember one of my graduate professors said, if you think you can't, you're never going to be wrong,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
And that was profound and it
Amen.
was
Yep.
ugly to stare in the face. Like, that's right.
Yep.
So I
Yes.
love that. Well, we cannot sign off and leave our listeners wondering to what was that camp memory that we referred to earlier that I said I wasn't going to call you out on, but I'm still going to give you a little bit of space to share because it
Oh,
went down in camp history.
that's right. There,
Yes.
yeah, I would be more than happy to share. During Camp Explore, you have a wellness moment. And so it's important as an administrator, as an educator, to take care of you. And anyways, my assistant principal and I decided we were going to take part in a kayak adventure. Well, neither one of us had ever been kayaking, and we joked about, oh my gosh, we'll be in the water, blah, 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 blah. Just joking. We had no intention to be in the water. Well, I'll tell you, we were pushed off and we kind of did one of these numbers and we got it straightened back up. And then I think we both kind of over corrected ourselves and boom, within 5 seconds, we were both in the water. I lost my cell phone. I lost one of my Birkenstock shoes. Like there was a lot of screaming and laughter and just craziness. But I'll tell you what, that is a memory that my whole staff knows about it. My county office knows about it. And now all Camp Explore people know about it. So I'm happy that everybody's laughing with me, not at me.
It was just pure joy.
It
That's what
was.
it was for all of us in our kayaks and on the land. It was pure joy
It
because,
was a lot
like
of
Kelly
fun.
said, they had gone through the wiggle and they got straightened up, and then just out of nowhere they just rolled like nothing happened, just rolled.
Yes,
You didn't give up with
that's
your
right.
school, you didn't give up with your kids, and you didn't give up kayaking. You got right back in that kayak and you went and found your dolphins,
Hey,
didn't you?
listen, the funny thing is, my husband purchased a kayak shortly after that. So I'm now a pro.
There you go. We'll let you lead the pack
That's
next
right.
time you're
That's
at
right.
camp. So, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope some of the listeners will say, I want to go to camp with Kelly. She just
Listen,
seems like the best partner ever.
I promise you won't be disappointed. Come, come.
Yeah.
Love to
Uh,
see you there.
so, thank you so much.
All
You have
right.
a wonderful rest of the day.
All right. Thank you all.